look now at what's making headlines in the newspapers and online this morning. Freelance journalist Carien Du Plessis joins us now to take a look at the front pages of both The Star and The Witness. Carien, a pleasure to have you, and good morning to you. I want to kickstart this one with the Star newspaper, seeing what they're leading with. Their power cuts may affect marks. Education Minister saying there that those results could be adjusted to allow for the impact of load shedding. So we saw the impact of load shedding on, obviously exams and matriculants writing, saying they had challenges while studying because there were no lights, but it seems it's now exacerbating to now the marks and markers are being affected.
Yes, it seems these electricity cuts that we've been having are having knock-on effects on many aspects of our lives. It started with the health aspects, with hospitals not being able to, their equipment not working, and now we're seeing matriculants are also being affected by it. And I think it would be fair. It is sad that it has come to this, but I mean, I do think it would be fair to adjust marks where it is needed, and it's not something unusual. The Umalusi does it every year. If some matric papers were too difficult and they find the marks are adversely affected, they do adjust it up and down. So it is being done, but I think it is particularly sad that it has come to this, that electricity cuts might be affecting matriculants. Yeah. But on the other hand, I mean, we have seen a lot of children have passed matric under very difficult circumstances. There have been stories about matriculants learning by candlelight in the past. So I do think we have resilient people, and we have, our children are resilient. So hopefully it will not adversely affect the marks. But I mean, there are certain subjects that have been mentioned: computer studies, and I think sign language studies, which we didn't have in my time in matric. You do need electricity to write those, and hopefully ESCOM can keep the electricity going for long enough for children to write to write those subjects. But,
absolutely.
I think it remains to be seen. I don't think it will be unusual if the marks are adjusted, though.
Right, well, that's not the only story we're seeing on the Star, Carien. Teens being found guilty of deadly attack on musicians. I mean, when I saw this verdict yesterday, I just kept thinking in my mind, South Africa having a record of teenagers, minors, being convicted of such tragic crimes as these. But if you remember the story, South Africa, that had to do with Toriso Temane, who was 23 years old at the time of his untimely death in Polokwane. The state alleged that Malika and Mothapo, together with 6 teenagers, fatally assaulted Temane back in 2019 in Polokwane, in the suburb of Fauna Park. And we remember, Carien, that this assault was actually recorded on a cell phone, and now these teenagers found guilty.
Yeah, it was really sad. I mean, I think the fact that the age that we're living in and the fact that the teenagers were doing it, I presume to be cool as well. I mean, and to be so blatant as to record an assault and a murder on social media, and that it went viral, it kind of tells you that they felt untouchable. They weren't scared to do what they did, and they weren't scared to be found out. And I believe one of the children is a child of a retired former policeman, and he said, he sort of pretended that he was untouchable. And so I think in a way it's really good that we have seen justice for the victim and his family, but nothing will ever bring him back. Yeah. So I really do think that it's a step in the right direction, but I think more would need to be done to stem to prevent future murders like this, and to prevent children from doing what they did. And I mean, the fact that it went viral on social media, that to me is just the most harrowing thing. So I think it was a good outcome to a really sad story.
Yeah, I just feel for the family, because if that video is still circulating, they still have to live with seeing it live on the internet. But I hope it's a lesson for school-going pupils, that bullying, that fighting, assault does not pay at all, because we know how many of these incidents do still occur in schools. But let's move on to the Witness newspaper now, Carien, and see what they're leading with. Tebola pouring his heart out there. But I want to highlight the story at the bottom, quite concerning. Government, or KZN government departments rather, among South Africa's worst irregular expenditure. And I mean, 3 KZN departments are listed in the top 10 public entities in the country that contribute to the most irregular expenditure. They namely the Department of Transport, sitting at 17.8 billion rand, the Department of Health with 9.9 billion rand, and the Department of Education at 8.15 billion rand.
Yes, these Auditor General reports are generally an indication of how well it is going in terms of, administration and governance in government departments. And the fact that they were rather negative, and especially in KwaZulu-Natal, does indicate that something's wrong. I mean, some people are not big fans of these reports, and they say there are very specific measures that you have to take to comply to these reports, and they don't necessarily indicate corruption. But often when there is irregular expenditure and when people can't account for money that was spent, it indicates that taxpayers haven't been getting a good deal. And KwaZulu-Natal, as the witness reported, was the worst. And I think Western Cape, if I remember correctly from yesterday, were the best. And the public, the Auditor General was trying to be very upbeat by saying 27% of government departments had a clean audit. And I thought, gosh, if that's the good news, then tell me the bad news. And the bad news was actually that there was only one state-owned entity that had a clean audit, and the rest of them all had, audits that problems with their audits. It's a various range. And it kind of indicates that either the efforts to turn them around and to turn departments around are not working, or that it will take a longer time to turn these around than, since 2018 when President Ramaphosa started doing this and implemented it, asked him to do this.
Yeah.
So I do think it's bad and good news, but I think we have a long way to go.
We do indeed.
Before we can be really positive.
All right. Well, of course, I appreciate you coming on to the show and speaking to me about these headlines. Carien Du Plessis, thanks for your time this morning.